A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this 73rd edition of the Together for Education webinars brought to you by Notebook. Week after week, month after month, it has been our privilege to host some fantastic thought leaders, senior educators, to share their thoughts and views about a range of topics. We had started off with things that were very curricular when this lockdown had just started. Back in April 2020, we set up this series of webinars thinking that it would perhaps help our educators get a more hands on feel of some of the new learning platforms like Zoom. We started off with fairly curricular discussions talking about things that happen on a day to day basis in the school. And then we soon expanded to what was becoming a fast changing landscape in Indian education. The lockdown catalyzed a phenomenal acceptance and adoption of technology in the classroom. What that has led to now is a real situation of blended learning. Technology has become an integrated part of our education system. However, education as a concept encompasses a whole lot more. Today, we look at integrated learning as a concept. We deliberately did not give out any talking points because, as a student, I always found the concept of Brownian motion in chemistry rather fascinating. And integrated learning being such a wide topic, we would like today's conversation to be rather Brownian. We at Notebook are an edtech platform. We create short videos from the school curriculum courses. And with these videos, we aid teachers in their classrooms. When teachers are taking their classes, whether online or offline, they can play some of our videos to make the classroom more engaging. Much later, when the student is revising the topic before an exam, they have access to these same videos on their personal devices from home. Whether it's a smartphone or a laptop, whatever device they have access to, they can use it to access notebook videos and make their studies easier and more fun. What I will do now is play a short clip of one of the notebook videos for you. A few months back, we were trying to look at what would really help students during their preparation for exams. And one of the things that came up was that in the subject of biology, students find it a lot easier to answer questions when they can draw their diagrams well, which is why we created a special set of videos aimed specifically at teaching young students how to draw their diagrams in biology. I will play that video for you just for a minute before we start the session today. Like this one and with many other videos, we are trying to make education a more fun, a more engaging process. And it also goes to the heart of our topic today, which is integrated learning. How do you integrate various other components into the learning pedagogy that will make it a far more effective process? Our first speaker on this topic today is Mr. Philip Burrett. Mr. Burrett retired as the Deputy Headmaster from the illustrious Doon School in Dehradun after 44 years of serving in education across various institutions. Mr. Burrett served the Doon School as Housemaster, Head of Department, Dean of Activities, Dean of Student Welfare, deputy headmaster, second master, and acting headmaster with great distinction. He also carried out a visioning exercise for the Doon School in the year 2011 through an in depth study of a number of British public schools and various schools in the US. Mr. Barrett qualified as a leadership trainer in Wellington College, UK in the year 2000. He is also an athlete, an adventurer, and a naturalist. So, privileged to have you with us. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Shubayu, and and a very good evening to everyone at the Notebook team in Calcutta, and all our guests who have tuned in, and especially our very esteemed panelists. So today, my talk is going to be divided into three phases because I want to look at the pre-COVID days. I want to look at the COVID year, 2020 mainly, and something of the post-COVID scenario. Now, if you look at the pre-COVID days, by and large, schools were predominantly teacher and syllabus centric, racing to complete courses and pass exams, with only the most progressive schools, let's say in the metros or the Indian schools in the Gulf region, using real IT and EdTech modules to augment classroom teaching. Most middle class schools use some sort of digital media and EdTech solutions, which they downloaded onto their servers for teachers to use as part of their classroom lessons. While most heads and principals knew that the digital media and online learning was the way to go, they were reluctant to push it beyond simply asking teachers or requesting them to use what the school had invested in. In fact, many principals themselves were not so tech savvy and therefore were hardly in any position to impose this on their staff. Even students in the best and most expensive schools did not use the internet in the way it should have been used. I mean, they did college applications on their laptops, they were busy on social media, and some of them, of course, researched their projects on it. But believe you, even at the Doon School, where I taught, students had laptops from class 9 upwards, and we had 24/7 internet connectivity. But the most viewed areas was movies. They downloaded movies. They never used the internet in the way it should have been used. And as a teacher, I used to set a lot of homework based on websites that I had provided. Certain, I gave them websites that they had to go and research some pre-reading material online. And they used the internet, and I used the internet to teach my subject, which is geography. And this subject relied heavily on diagrams, sketches, and maps. So my days of drawing on the whiteboard had long passed, and I could move quickly through the syllabus using PowerPoints and virtual reality in the classroom. But if one went only by statistics seen at my last school, it could be said that only a handful of teachers used the World Wide Web and digital learning effectively and optimally. Most used it to teach a few lessons, with the bulk of them lecturing or assignment lessons or a project work. There were also a considerable amount who were reluctant to even switch on a computer, apart from writing reports and filling in attendance and marks. So, to sum up the pre COVID years, there was little digital learning, but plenty of normal classroom chalk and talk lessons. Now, fast forward to February 2020, and the world was hit by this virus that could be killed by simple soap and water, but in fact, it was killing a lot of us over the world. Now, school shut down, as the world did, and overnight students were doing these lessons online. Teachers initially struggled to adapt to this new way of teaching and assessment, and schools experimented and learned along the way with various platforms. They started with Zoom, they moved to Microsoft Teams, Google Class, and they saw what was the best fix for their schools. Students were learning from the comfort of their homes, but suffered in some ways that were not initially very obvious. The three ways they suffered from was the physical way. There was eye strain, there was back problems, not to mention other health hazards of too much sitting, lowering the immunity by not going out and mixing with others. There were psychological problems, depressions, loneliness, loss of friends, losing a year of real school, and all the rest that was associated with the extracurricular life of a school. There were emotional problems, all forms of abuse, confined in limited space at home, parents breathing over their shoulders, and and taking this strange new interest in their schoolwork, having to share gadgets, internet issues, also losing someone in the family to COVID, also the fear of losing one's parents to COVID and being left alone. So while the kids did not lose out on academics and learning, which was handled by the internet and skilled teachers, they lost out a lot on the socializing, sport, and communication skills, not to mention companionship and being with mentors and teachers and teamwork and cooperations that schools foster. But was this online teaching really digital learning? Or were the simply a digital classroom where instead of having children sitting in rows on physical desks, you were now on a screen which the teacher could see? Was this digital learning? I asked. Now, in my view, learning becomes digital when subject matter is found online and solutions to problems are searched online, and when the teacher is the new www and the physical teacher or the present in the class teacher is only a guide and facilitator. Real online learning occurs when students can progress at their own pace and learn what they want to learn. For example, a good digital class would have had three groups of students researching different aspects of, let's say, the French Revolution. One does the causes, the other effects of the French Revolution, and the third could set up, costumes and the culture of the post-revolution period in France. And then they all get together, share their learning, and the teacher moderates this. Now, while digital learning does not remove the teacher from the equation, it does change the role of the teacher and shifts the onus from teacher teaching to learner learning. Now we move to the post COVID scenario, and there's much talk of schools reopening by April. And what is this scenario going to look like? Now, I am not going to talk about the physical adaptations, like what are schools doing with distancing, sanitizing, masks, uses of toilets, buses, how sports will be conducted, and the timetable and daily routine, which obviously will change according to each school unique um, position. Now, no two schools may follow the same pattern of class arrangements, number of periods a day, whether the kids come to school 3 times or 4 times, and how the syllabus is transacted. But as all schools will be moving ahead to implement the new education policy guidelines, one thing is certain, that learning takes precedence over exams and testing. It is the child who is a center and who chooses the subject choices, combinations, and the speed of his learning, and not the syllabus and assessment. And assessment, of course, is going to move from from summative to more formative learning. Now, in the post-COVID scenario, we will need to take the best of what we have learned from our COVID times and throw out what was not working from pre-COVID days. We will need to keep the human contact and the mentoring of our students, which is what they have missed out on the most, but retain the learning which has been in vogue over the past year. Now that teachers have seen how effective online learning and teaching is, they need to perfect this. In true integrated teaching, teachers and schools will need to get back to the games field, the treks, the debates, the dramas, the art, the music, and the craft, but not let the momentum of online learning fade from memory. Classrooms, in my view, will be very different. To begin with, there will be much more activity, more movement, more student involvement, more counseling, and more face to face communication that has been missing over this last year. And at the same time, there must be a mix of digital teaching and traditional teaching. Now, this is not to say that there will be no lectures or there'll be no normal classroom interaction as we know it. But I think that integrated learning will have to include the flipped classroom, more research-based learning, project work, team learning, team teaching. And therefore, as teachers now have experienced and are confident with digital learning, it is also quicker to transact the syllabus more interestingly and more effectively. However, teachers would need to pre-plan the annual syllabus so that a percentage of lessons are using online digital learning and some the normal way. Because if you don't plan your syllabus, you won't finish it. I think more and more topics should be covered using research-based lessons and the flipped classroom method. Another thing, real digital learning comes into its own when teaching topics like solar system, tides, earthquakes, mountain building, coastal flooding, taking my own topics as an example, because you can actually see an earthquake. You can play around with the magnitude and intensity and actually see an earthquake. You can actually use digital learning to see how a tide comes in and out and speed it up. What is coastal flooding? It's very difficult for me to teach coastal flooding not using an internet. I don't think I can teach it very well. Um, let's take, for example, the solar system. It's so easy and so interesting to teach it using digital platforms. Another aspect of integrated learning, I'd say, is the fact that this compartmentalization of subjects has to go, at least in the lower classes. And again, in keeping with the new education policy, there needs to be flexibility and fluidity between each subject. Again, this will have to call upon a special type of teacher who can plan lessons to integrate maths with geography, biochemistry, because it has been shown through research that children learn best when learning can be taken as a whole and not be broken up into compartments. So let's say, for example, a class takes a drive out in a bus to a biodiversity park into the hills. This can lead to an understanding of linear distance, conversion of km to cm, kilometers to centimeters. We can do speed sums based on the speed of the bus. There's geology and botany to be studied as the trees and leaves and animals at the biodiversity park. We will clean up our mess, and so there's a lot of training in waste management. We can learn gradients and slope, elevations. We can also learn climate, lapse rate, and temperature, all in one journey. So we integrate the subjects and don't call them geography, history, maths. What is needed, I think, now to end with is the trust that the students can teach themselves and learn themselves. And that these young people are often sharper than us when it comes to digital learning and the internet. And that learning is more important than teaching. And finally, are we as teachers willing to sacrifice our traditional role as knowledge givers to becoming mentors, guides, and moderators? I thank you very much for listening to me. And with this, I hand this over to Shibayu.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction into the topic and that journey that you so well described from pre-COVID to the COVID year, and now that we're looking at the post-COVID reality. Well, for a little more on this topic, we have our next speaker, Achin Bhattacharya. Achin is the founder and CEO at Notebook. A chartered accountant by training, Achin was a director at Deloitte prior to starting Notebook. He has worked in India and abroad in various senior capacities in GE, PwC, KPMG, and Deloitte. He is a fellow of the ICAI and a member of CPA Australia. He is also the recipient of the prestigious Indian Achievers Award. Achin is an avid reader and a passionate traveler with keen interests in economics, history, literature, and philosophy. He is a regular speaker at various forums and chambers of commerce and also contributes articles to numerous publications regularly. He is also on the board of some of the most renowned corporates and contributes significantly to their brand strategies. Achin, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Shubham, am I audible?
Yeah, which is loud and clear.
I again welcome all of you to today's session on a topic which is not only important but very contemporary as well. After what all of us have witnessed over the last 1 year, I remember a very important quote, something that really sums up the entire purpose of of this session. A quote by Benjamin Franklin. If my memory serves me correct, he said, "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I may remember. Involve me and I learn." Beautiful quote, right? Really describes the entire essence or the entire intent behind the concept of learning. Goes a long way to define the pedagogy, goes a long way in order to pronounce that what are the key elements that needs to be built in to ensure that we optimize learning outcomes. Now today, I think Bharat sir gave a wonderful introduction to the topic and discussed at length with regard to from his real life experience, wealth of experience. And I'm sure we have an esteemed panel here today who will enrich us further with regard to their experience in the topic. Now, as an edtech entrepreneur, I have been working very actively in this space for more than the last 3 years now. But consciously, I refrain from discussing about what we at Notebook do. I understand that our esteemed audience here who are with us today evening are regular visitors in our forum and are completely well aware with regard to what we are doing. So I do not want to repeat, neither do I want to go into details of what we have seen over the last 1 year, because that's something that all of us are privy to. We're all on the same boat. So rather, I'll try to take a more holistic view with regard to integrated learning and discuss few key aspects. Now, the term integrated learning has a very wide ambit. When I say integrated learning, like it may refer to classrooms where all children, including children with disabilities, share space with everyone else. However, it's a very sensitive topic which requires a full session, and hence today I will limit my deliberation only with regard to the integration between optimal mix of physical and virtual learning. Now, integrated learning has really become an umbrella term, often referred to more popularly and interchangeably as blended learning. Although I do not agree, these two terms have their own own niche. But having said that, often referred interchangeably with blended learning. Now, it is also used to describe other blends, such as combining different instructional methods, although these blends are not aligned with influential blended learning definitions. We often discuss about combining modes like web-based technology, pedagogical approaches, instruction technology, actual job tasks, activity-based learning, we need to say. However, the way I look at it, the fact that blended learning means different thing to different people, it really illustrates the untapped potential of the term. It goes on to show that how important the term is, the entire untapped potential behind this term. Now, before we move forward with this topic, I'll just take a minute. With regard to the challenges, today when we discuss this topic, we all understand, if we really step out of India and we step into Bharat, we step into rural India, we step into the aspirational parts of India, and we step into all layers of the pyramid. And when we discuss about all layers of the pyramid, when we discuss about children, we discuss about students, not only students from different economic strata, but if you look at the learning curve, we'll also discuss about students who are less engaged than their peers, and what we can do to engage them further, to ensure that education really appeals to them, it becomes far more interesting. And I guess this is where digital learning as an aid, not as a platform, but as an aid to teaching, which esteemed educators can really utilize, can make a world of difference. Also, other factors that all of us are completely aware. We live in a vast country. So if we really look at each and every area, we look at so many schools, vernacular schools, state board schools in remote areas, providing quality teachers in all subjects at times is a huge practical challenge that all of us understand. So all that digital education can do is to ensure that the wealth of knowledge that resides with esteemed educators like you, we can ensure that it really reaches to a far more bigger population. And I guess that's the entire intent. Now, blended learning, as we're all aware, is a combination of offline and online instructions. The objective is that the student should interact with the instructor. And there has to be also be peer-to-peer interaction with other students. Now, this interaction can be both through physical classroom as well as through online platforms. So very often also referred to as semi-presential education, a type of fusion between traditional and modern technology. Now, when we look at the way I look at it more like a teaching method where you integrate technological as well as virtual activities in conjunction with traditional teaching, which will always exist. And it has to be planned activities, which definitely has to serve a pedagogical purpose, pedagogical value as we brought in. Now, when we are discussing about this hybrid concept, we need to keep in mind that this actually aggregates technological means without replacing, but by integrating the traditional format. Now, we are discussing about a completely new generation of students, right? Whom we are trying to prepare for jobs that do not even exist. Hence, education needs to be far more personalized, and considering the advent of social media, considering the kind of resources, kind of online content, kind of resources available at the disposal, education also needs to be far more interesting. Now, one of the greatest advantages of blended learning, I believe, that it really combines the best of both worlds. Combines the advantages of online education with all benefits of traditional classroom. Now, blended learning really entails more than simply replacing class time with online course elements. I guess that's not the purpose. And neither other way around, supplementing online course with face-to-face meeting. In order to be successful, it needs to integrate, after taking into account the learning objective. I guess learning objective is the single most important term. And as well as the affordances, the kind of investment in terms of time that the educator puts in, the students puts in. And deliberately linking what occurs in each mode. Now, depending on where you start, a blended learning course may be viewed as either a face-to-face course with online enhancement or an online course with face-to-face enhancement. If you do not carefully think about and implement measures to integrate these two learning modes, students may perceive them as separate contexts, but they're actually not separate contexts. They're the same, right? So we identify the learning objective and we are trying to blend these two methods in order to optimize the outcome. So that I guess is the purpose. And hence, when the online and face-to-face components complement each other, that is the entire purpose. As integrated activities in each setting, there's a clear purpose. And students understand the relevance of both modes. Now, if you look at this entire trajectory that we discussed, like say, for example, you start from classroom and you go towards online, or either way around, other way around, like say, for example, currently what we have been seeing from online and to the journey, entire journey towards physical face-to-face instruction. So what are the various steps? Like, what are the various options, permutation, combination that we discuss about? A fully online curriculum with all learning online, a fully online curriculum with options of face-to-face instruction, mostly online curriculum with select days in classroom or computer lab, only the practical part is being discussed face-to-face. Second, online, but students are meeting every day. Other way around, classroom instruction with required online components, or classroom instruction with integrated online resources. And last, completely traditional face-to-face setting with no online resources. Now, I was going through some very interesting literature in this particular topic, and I was going through some research that has happened in different parts of the world. So many people have done good work, so many experiments, so many case studies, so many surveys. So I saw Staker and Horn in 2012 presented four models, four models of blended learning, which they argued categorized most blended learning programs across K-12 sector. These are, to start with, first is rotation model, where students rotate between learning modalities. Now, different learning modalities, one of which may be online learning. Other modalities may include full class instruction, group projects, and individual tutoring. Second, flex model, where content is delivered primarily online and students move on and individually customize schedule. Like for instance, the teacher or other adults provide face-to-face support as needed through activities such as small group instruction, group projects, etc. Third, self-blend model, where students take one or more online courses to supplement traditional courses. And last, enriched virtual model, where students divide their time between attending a campus and learning remotely in an online setting. Now, what we really see is some very important recommendations in order to ensure that we are able to optimize the outcome. Shubham, I think someone's microphone is on. A lot of background noise I hear. Is it yours?
Orchin, just give me a second. Would you mind? Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah, Orchin, please go on.
Yeah. So what I was referring to, really interesting, some recommendations in order to ensure that we really optimize the learning outcome. First and foremost, start with the learning goals. Unless until we really know what our learning goal is, how do we really combine these two methods? Because not necessarily that for each and every chapter, for each and every topic, we need to bring in digital learning. No, nothing like that. At the end of the day, the objective is the student has to understand. We need to optimize the learning outcome. So let's first understand the learning goal, what the learning goal is. Like Bharat gave a great example. There are certain topics, in order to explain, in order to illustrate, in order to bring in more clarity, in order to ensure that the child really understands. Or what I was speaking to, students were less engaged. That's the way I look at it. I believe merit is evenly distributed, but students were less engaged, were not getting adequate amount of interest. So if my learning goal is to ensure to really engage them, or an activity which I feel can be really explained much better by bringing in digital aids, I definitely do it. And based on that, I decide also on the mix, the degree of mix, whether it will be 90% physical education and vis-a-vis only say 10% digital, or whatever be the mix. Third, I guess also what is important is the workload, the logistics, right? It's very important to understand that the kind of challenges, that ground level challenges that so many esteemed educators face day in and day out. So how do we really build things in such a manner that we ensure ease of use? We ensure that the end user, we need to ensure that we enhance the user experience. We make it as simple as possible. I've always told you that as an entrepreneur, I always believe in making things simple. Whenever we discuss this term EdTech, technology has to come second, education has to come first, and there's no doubt about it. The entire purpose here is education, technology being only an enabler. So how can we ensure that logistical bottlenecks be solved? Can we ensure that we use simple devices? Can we ensure that schools, classrooms do not have to spend on expensive projectors? What's the entire purpose? The entire purpose is not to build a hardware repository. The entire purpose is to show content. How can we do that? How can we make things simple? Can our content be streamed online using a normal simple television set that you use at home to watch news? And why only online or offline education? Say, for example, if we discuss about peer-to-peer learning, we discuss about activity-based learning. So each and every activity, the educator needs to take a conscious call that how much work will be required to create each learning activity vis-a-vis the benefit to learners. You know how important the activity is. Definitely, materiality considerations is something that the esteemed educator keeps in mind. Because although the educator may intend to, but there are practical limitations in terms of the time. So which are the activities which we need to focus on, and we need to ensure that, okay, fine, for these particular topics, peer-to-peer learning, activity-based learning comes in. And where we can really put in extra effort to make the biggest of differences. I think another very important aspect is that in today's age, providing opportunities for interaction among students. If we really can allow them to interact in meaningful ways, so though that interaction can be face-to-face interaction in classroom or online interaction through any platform which is monitored, it will help in bridging the gap. Another thing, I believe that learning and the entire pedagogy structure has to be viewed as a whole. So whether that be online or offline cannot be viewed in isolation, because one mode needs to enforce the other mode. They cannot come in as either or, they need to come in as and. Because these two need to continuously support and supplement each other. Similarly, as students and teachers continue to have increased access to digital tools and resources, we see that there's a shift in traditional instructional practices. For instance, textbooks, which were earlier the primary source of information. Now we see that students are also using online repositories in order to understand a topic. And even if digital content doesn't come in, student does this on his or her own. A simple Google search, watching videos to understand a particular topic. So now I think what is really important is, so when we understand that this is anyways going to happen, and honestly speaking, it's a one-way road. So why not we ensure that any digital content that a student goes through, up to the best extent possible, has been vetted by the educator. Because all content is not age appropriate. And I guess that is very important. Aspects like gender sensitivity, aspects like age appropriateness, the kind of language is being used, the kind of examples being given. So hence, it really makes sense that while integrating these platforms, instead of using open source content that is being used is monitored and vetted content. Another thing which I feel really helps, really will go a long way to ensure that we get optimum learning outcomes by combining these two. First and foremost is developing a learning community. Now, when you say learning community, teachers and students were all aligned to the purpose, because teachers have their own expectations from student behavior. And likewise, students also have their own expectation with regard to time they're spending vis-a-vis the outcome. And they look up to their educators. Now, unless and until there's a vision alignment in terms of use of digital content, it will not succeed. Second, what is really important is serving the instructional purpose. Now, when teachers are using a particular content, I'm sure they need to consider, and they do consider, that how much of value is it actually adding? It cannot be a mere tick in the checkbox that yes, I do have digital content. But what is the instructional purpose of using a particular content? And as I told you, how is the entire lesson plan structured? How much time are you keeping for interaction? A digital content, it cannot be a 30-minute video which occupies the entire class. I guess a teacher has a much larger role to play. The 4 C's that we often talk of, like digital age skills, communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. I'm sure that is something that all educators are bringing into their classroom. Whether it be through offline instruction or by combining online methods. So any digital content also naturally needs to gear up to that, needs to act as an aid and ensure that objectives are aligned. Now, I guess these are some points that I wanted to make with regard to combining online and offline mode of education. This is a topic which is very close to my heart naturally, because since we have been working on this for a long time. And honestly, what I've always felt is that if we really combine these two, and if we really ensure that quality edited digital content, which is short and crisp, is used as an aid for an educator, might be either to generate interest, might be as a basis based on which he or she explains a topic and takes it to the next level, I'm sure we can make a world of difference. And considering what has happened during last 1 year, things have definitely fast-tracked. Now the question is, now when schools reopen, what is it that students and teachers, because students have been used to a particular way of education during last 1 year. So how are things going to evolve? So on this very important topic, I look forward to hear from our esteemed panelists today. We have a stellar panel today with wealth of experience, and I indeed look forward to hear from them. I thank all of you for giving me a patient hearing. Over to you, Shubhai.
Thank you, Achin. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. As Achin said, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to move on to the stellar panel that we have for you today. It is now my privilege to introduce them to you one by one. We have with us Dr. Rashmi Tyagi, who is the director and principal of the Modern English School in Mumbai. She's contributed to education in rural Maharashtra and helped in setting up schools in Junnar district, Pune, where she worked honorarily to help farmer children. She has helped rural women with awareness programs on health issues. She initiated the Save the Cow project with farmers' children and received the Science Communicators Honor from Indian Science Congress for her Save the Cow project. She contributed to science education and research. She herself holds a doctorate in chemistry from IIT Roorkee, and she's presented papers as a science communicator in the fields of science. She has been honored by the Zoology Department of Kashmir University for presenting her work on aquaponics. Thank you so much. She holds an MA in History and Economics, an MEd, and an MPhil. She worked as a vice principal in ISC school at Lucknow and principal in CBSE school in Chennai, and has had 37 years of experience in the education field. She has written social studies book for classes 6, 7, 8, and EVS books for classes 1 to 5, and has written articles in various educational magazines. She has conducted workshops in various states in India and also in Dubai and Doha. She is a recipient of the CBSE National Award from the CBSE in the year 2012, and the recipient of the Best Principal Award from Bombay Stock Exchange. She has also received awards from Mylapore Academy, Rotary Club, and recognition from various institutions, and has received the International School Award from British Council. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining. Again, a privilege to host you. We also have with us Mr. J.K. Agarwal, who is presently serving as the principal at a CBSE Delhi affiliated school, Aryan Public School, Lohagal, in the city of Ajmer. He has led many leading schools in various capacities, be it principal, coordinator, center superintendent for various CBSE exams, and others. He has also been actively involved in social service through Rotary Club and Lions Club. He has his expertise in Train the Trainer as master trainer for the teachers of English with the government of Rajasthan. Mr. Agrawal has been the recipient of the prestigious British Council's International School Award from 2017 to 2020 as project coordinator. He has also been recognized and awarded by Lions Club and Rotary Club for his passion to serve humanity better. He has received appreciation letters from Government of India for 2 consecutive terms. His passion for working for the holistic growth and development of his students remains the key area in which he always wants to excel. Sir, again, a privilege to host you. I'm going to stop my share now, switch on the camera so that we can start the discussion. I would request all three of you to please unmute yourselves. Padmini ma'am, Rashmi ma'am, Agarwal sir.
Yeah, I've done.
Having you here. Very good evening. Before I start with the questions that I have, I would try to understand your take on this topic, integrated education, because as Achin mentioned, it's a very wide ambit. Dr. Tyagi, if we may start with you, ma'am.
Okay. I've heard to this wonderful topic that is integrated learning. And my response to this is in a different way, because we are the teachers, we are teaching. And when we say integrated, we are also using the word blended. When people say it is blended, then they talk of, that traditional teaching learning and the digital teaching learning, which has come due to the pandemic situations, due to the online education from homes. But when I think of integrated teaching learning, then I'm doing other blendings also. And that is the multidisciplinary integration. And not only the multidisciplinary integration, that is not the only word. The word is the STEAM. And all over the world, we are talking of STEAM. And as you know, it is an acronym, and that is science, technology, engineering, arts, and maths. So when I talk of blending, I talk of everything, and technology is the part of it. That means the online teaching learning through videos and virtual teaching learning. So when we teach them in the multidisciplinary way, then the understanding is more. And there is so much stress of blending all these, disciplines with the art. So my understanding is like this. But even if we say that it is the blend of digital learning and face-to-face learning, still I will say it is going to give wonderful results, because through the textbooks, we could not, convey to the students what is really happening. But due to this online teaching learning, we can show so many things to the students, that how the heart is pumping the blood through all over the body, and the structures, three-dimensional structures of the big molecules, and how it feels when we go, to the moon. Maybe they show a video, so that way, and the journey over the Himalayas. These, I mean, not now, I tell you, around 7, 8 years back or 10 years back, we had EDICOM in our school. I told them to get the EDICOM, and through that, they were taking the students to the journey through all these videos. So it was already there, but now due to pandemic, as we know that this paradigm shift has taken place. But still, I will say that the integrated teaching learning or blended learning means STEAM. So this is what I feel about
Thank you so much, ma'am. In fact, art integration is something that is very close to our heart in Notebook because we always try and use high quality art as part of our videos. That is very, very core to our design philosophy.
That's very right. And that is also an art to make a video. It is an art to write the dialogues, to write the storyline, and to give the voiceover. This is all art. So that is why we are saying that integration of art, not only in primary, secondary classes, but also in senior secondary classes, and maybe at the university level. All these things which we are talking about, the notebook is talking about for last 7 8 months. I'm listening to you. So this is also a form of art.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Mr. Agrawal, sir, if I may come to you next, your take on integrated learning.
Yeah, first of all, a very warm good evening to the panel. Actually, it's warm because it's still a little cold here, North India. Rashmi ma'am, I think she is there in South India. I think ma'am, your switch is off.
Sir, it is cold and hot. Whatever is
Okay,
happening that side, because every day I'm listening to the
okay,
things which are happening. Farmers. I will not say much about it. So it is cold and hot both.
yeah, that's true. That's true. You are absolutely right.
I'm from Roorkee, sir. That's why I'm telling.
Okay, okay.
You're talking of North India, so I got
No,
it.
I thought you are from Mumbai. Okay, Padmini ma'am is from Mumbai, I
I'm
suppose.
from Mumbai, but
Okay,
native.
right. Okay. So my take, for me, since ages, it has been integrated learning only. Had it not been integrated learning, the human society would not have been where it is at present. Of course, for making it a better teaching learning experience, things have been divided as social studies and mathematics and science or maybe languages or that. We cannot teach any subject without any language. So language integration is always there. We are teaching them some science till class 10, some form of social studies also. But even after that, socialism is there. Students are getting social. So integration for me is always there. When we talk about this technology integration, when we talk about Corona period, it was the need of the hour. Technology, teachers, books, separate subjects, they're all facilitators. We all facilitate learning to the students. When we were students, our teachers and the time technology of that time, like we used to get some lessons on radio. That was again. So these are all, facilitators, facilities which we are enjoying and making better every coming day. We are making better the learning. So integration now, yeah, CBSE is talking about art integration this year. So they have got even filled a very big 5 different parts of that art integration form, Kalasetu, and we had to fill class wise, subject wise, as many activities we could do. So that is there. But even before it, it was there. We have been doing it. If a teacher of English, when teaching his subject, doesn't go for voice modulation, doesn't go for the required rise and fall, proper reading, that loud reading, which is the way it is required, um, they won't be able to learn it. And when he or she is doing it this way, integration is happening. Like in the subject of English, we give one exercise, editing omission. It's not like the whole exercise is based on just one particular topic. All the grammatical aspects are tested on that. all the related things are asked. There may be a mistake of a preposition of an article, or maybe noun means related to part of speech or verbs or models or anything. So integrated learning, it was there, it is there, and it will be there. The only thing is now we are closely observing it. Now we know that, okay, if it's some way or the other, somewhere it was being missed and we were not actually doing it the way we should have. So we are focusing on it. All of a sudden, when COVID happened in the month of March and schools were closed, and now to some extent in some states it's being opened day by day, um, technology played a big role. And of course, I would really appreciate the way things um, we could accomplish actually. And I would say that the schools, they did survive throughout this period just because of the great assistance which we acquired, received from technology. This is what my take on this. Integration, it was there, it is there, it will always be there. Knowingly, unknowingly, hidden curriculum, open curriculum, whichever the way, it will be there. It has to be there.
Wonderful, sir. So, since you're a teacher of language, whatever you just said, it gave me a very interesting memory. So, there are synonyms and homonyms and other nyms in English
Names,
language as well.
antonyms also.
Yes. I recently came across a term called retronym. A
What is
retronym,
it?
retronym.
Retronym. Okay.
Essentially, the idea is when TVs were first there, they were all black and white TVs. So they were just called TVs. Later, when color TVs came, people looked back and said, okay, those are black and white TVs. So it's something
Yes.
that is named retrospectively. So I
Mhm.
think what you're saying is the term integrated learning might just be a retronym because it's always been integrated. It's always been that way.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing it. Good.
Padmini ma'am, if I may come to you next, ma'am. Ma'am, you'll have to unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, good evening to all, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to be a member in the panel discussion on a very interesting topic, and which is a need of the day also. As we all know that the new educational policy is also focusing on a structure change of the pedagogy, that we are moving to the multiple paths of teaching and multiple path of learning. And at that point, education aims at providing a holistic and integrative, engaging, and an enjoyable learning forum platform for the children. So here I would suggest, as everybody would definitely agree, a blend of traditional method and the modern approach will help the learning to be an enjoyable one. Now, actually, integrated learning, as Mr. Agarwal pointed out, it has been there. Even when I was a student, there were ways of presenting that concept or the content to the students. But now, of course, the technology has stepped in, but the technology cannot replace a teacher at all. But the technology, the hands of a teacher can be a transformational one. So how the teacher takes it, and age appropriate methodology, age appropriate approach has to be designed by the teacher. And the learning programs also have to be designed subject-wise, age-wise, to see that the learning happens in the class. Today, we don't ask any teacher that, what did you teach? We ask the students what learning happened today. What did you learn today and how did you learn this? So that is the way we are also approaching the students. Therefore, the teaching methodology or the teaching strategy has to change where the learning can happen successfully. So naturally, we have to touch the 21st century skills of all those skills which we are talking about: creativity, innovativeness, and demonstration method, collaboration, and n number of skills should be brought in while we are teaching the children. So learning can happen only when the students are exposed to all these types of skills. Of course, web-based learning can also be a supplement to the teacher, but nothing like a teacher talking to a student. Nothing like a face-to-face teaching in the classrooms. So the children will have a lot of interactions. Children will be exposed and their ideas and their experiences through the skills, they will be able to apply it in the real life situation, find solution for the issues and the challenges which they come across if we are integrating the skills into learning the concepts, learning the content. There's a famous quote which says that if I don't understand the way you teach, why don't you teach me the way I understand? So the teacher has to go down to their level. Maybe you can use a song, a dance, a painting, a sculpting, or a demonstration or hands-on experience or learning by doing, which can make the classroom very lively. But sometimes we are getting disappointed when the teachers go by extreme traditional method of the chalk and talk method. We cannot do away with the chalk and talk method, because if you say classroom, there is always a board, a blackboard and a duster. Of course, a smart board has stepped in recently also. So the teacher has to see that she uses the chalk and talk method in such a manner, even the board you can draw. Do anything on the blackboard and see that the children are so lively and they're able to understand. The purpose of integrated learning is to make the student retention power will improve when we are using the skills, when we are using different types of approaches, as already suggested, the blended learning, the flipped classrooms, and various methods are there which can be used in order to see that the students are able to understand the concept, apply the concept in real life situation, and the retention power also improves if we are using different types of modalities in teaching the children. So learning will happen only when we are able to make the classroom interesting. And it can be interested only when we integrate a lot of skills into the teaching methodology. Like I'm a social science head. So in my training portal also, I say use songs, use puzzles, use games, use different types of methods. Even in a map teaching, I say that you make a Grand Trunk Express. Ask from where to where it is going, how many states you are passing through, and what are the importance of those states. So thinking skills, you make the children think. That is what is expected out of the present day education, because we are aiming at making the India a knowledge superpower. That's the aim of the vision of the national education policy. And the students have to face the global world, for which they need communication skill, creativity, and also confidence. So if they have to face the world with confidence, they have to be trained by all these methods. So integrated learning will help them to think beyond the textbooks. So when I was a student, probably we had one type of approach discipline, that is interdisciplinary method, because it was only specific subject alone was the main focus. But now we have moved to the interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary approaches, where the compartmentalization of these subjects is now to be broken. We have to do that. Because if you think that human mind itself, it does not define a curriculum in a compartmental ways. Any information which is accepted by us, we always like to have some connections, some ideas, some experience. And later when we identify that particular concept with a certain connectivity, the learning happens. So that is integrated learning. So various methods are there by which the learning can happen. The learning can be made very interesting in the classrooms, and the students and the teachers have to have the right attitude. While designing their lesson plans or the activities or the units or the assignments, and even assessment has to be modified a little bit. So the assessment also should be to check the performance of the understanding of the students and not just the performance. So when you're grading, you have to, instead of grading, I would rather suggest give narrative comments. So by which the strength of the student is identified and the gray area can be worked upon by the institution to see that everybody is brought on the same platform. So the concept is no child should be left behind. We have to take everybody in the learning platform and everybody should get the same knowledge. So we cannot let down anybody. So an approach which can reach all the 40 students in the classrooms has to be first adopted by the teacher. Then the classroom becomes a joyful experience for the child. And of course, There will be an access, it will be useful, it will be productive, and there will be no dropout from the classrooms. So let's teach in the way they want us to teach, rather than reduce the textbook content. Let us not keep on reading the textbooks, which is sometimes I think that teachers are still following that particular pedagogy of just reading and writing on the blackboard and preparing the students only for the examination and for the scores. Yes, we do need the scores because still India has not moved out of the report card pattern. But the main focus, if it is only on the scores and the report card, then the learning will not happen. Learning will happen, it will be more bookish knowledge. There will be no skill. There will be no, students will not develop that crisis management skill. Now today they need that crisis management. They should know how to face the world. They should know they will not succumb down. Even if there is a disappointment, they should know to cross it. That is, a life skill is most important. So we will have to integrate even life skills into the teaching of the concept, which is not difficult. If the teacher sits and the teacher plans her lessons with specific activities, specific tasks, and specific assignments, you can really make the learning wonderful. Even and below average students will raise up to the occasion and will be able to answer. Because nowadays the students are coming forward with a number of questions. There are why, what, when, how, all these questions. So this integrated method will definitely give an answer for all these W's and H, which arises in the students. But if this W's and H has to arise in the mind of the students, then the teacher has to teach in such a manner, not just giving a definition and explanation, but asking probing questions, forcing the students to participate. Instead of me teaching that concept, ask more questions. Let the students come forward with questions and questions and questions. By asking the questions, learning automatically happens. They will find a solutions. So integrative learning is one of the best, I would suggest, to make all the students in the classroom to be focused toward what is being taught, and understanding level will definitely improve. Of course, technology also have to be embedded, because now we cannot do away without technology, because it has gone to that level during this pandemic situation. Everybody is glued to technology. So we cannot do away technology. It can supplement, it can add on to the learning, but it has to be monitored. The content has to be verified, and at home the parents also have to see that the right thing is being downloaded by the students. But whatever is being learned has to be explained in the classroom or in the portal by the teacher, by using different types of approaches, by using maybe a song, maybe a dance, maybe a cartoon, maybe a source-based questions or case-based questions, or simple questions like choose the right answer or pick the right answers. All this will add on to the learning, and definitely integrated learning will be it is already there. It is already there. As Mr. Agarwal rightly said, it will go on, and that will pave the way for the dream of the national education policy to make India a knowledge superpower. I'm sure about it.
Wonderful, ma'am. I think ma'am has covered quite a bit because she answered my next two questions preemptively. There's a problem with experienced educators. Before the student raises the hand and opens the mouth, the teacher already knows what questions the student is going to ask. Rashmi ma'am,
More of experiential learning. That is what the term now we are using, that experiential learning, which is fun oriented, creative oriented, and hands-on experiences being given to the children where they do and they learn. So that is very interesting to make everybody understand, because understanding is most important than just reading and learning.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Rashmi ma'am, if I may come to you next, what I'm understanding, the sense that I'm getting is the part where the teachers who are completing the syllabus, just ensuring coverage, is the part that perhaps technology can fulfill to a certain degree. That certain concepts, certain information dissemination can happen over technology, and a deeper understanding, deeper deliberations, debates, discussions, experiences is what is built by the teacher. Now, this would also require a certain degree of expertise in the teacher, which we have not tried building through our education program so far. So, ma'am, how do you see the new teacher, the new generation of teachers? What are the key skill sets that they should possess?
Your question is as per the NEP, New Education Policy 2020, because they have also, emphasized on the trainings of the teachers. And as you know, that this is 21st century, and uh, new inventions have taken place, and lot of shifts have taken place, and digitalization of education has taken place. And just now Padmini madam has told us about the life skills, and so many other things like thinking is important, and different ways of multidisciplinary teaching, learning should be there. So for that, this is very important that we should train our teachers. And in that context, as I am master trainer for CBSE, COE Pune, so the Center of Excellence Pune has organized, many trainings for the upliftment or empowerment of the teachers. So lots of work. I don't know about 80 hours or what throughout the year it is being done, and we have chosen the topics like life skills, integrity, ethics, and integrity. And then Bloom's taxonomy for the science and the different subjects. And also, the errors which are there in teaching physics, practicals, and chemistry practicals, usually doing, on these apparatus. So that also being taught to the teachers, which they can, give to the students. And even the storytelling pedagogy, and so many arts method, these are being taught to the teachers. And as I told you in the beginning, the integration of art and happiness curriculum. And when I had gone to Dubai, there they were having, a happiness curriculum. Like the student should enjoy teaching learning. They should feel happy if they are even, doing maths and all that. So the teacher should have the joyful teaching, so that the joyful learning should take place. So all these integration is the need of the hour, because ultimately the whole scenario is, it has already changed. When I go to my face to face training, I used to go, then I used to ask them that what was the scenario 20 years back. Then it was a chalk and talk method. And then what is today? Then I used to ask them, what will happen after 20 years? And what will be the need of the teachers for the students? Then they all used to give the response that time, lots of, digitalization will be there, and lots of knowledge, only press a button away will be there. So we will be, teachers will be facilitators that time. And maybe, we will give them emotional support, because the parents, both the parents will be working, and there'll be nobody to give them that emotional support. And as Padmini madam was telling, the life skills, so social skills, emotional skills, and all these things, critical thinking, problem solving, because Pythagoras theorem is not going to give the solution of a problem. So we have to teach them some life skills, so that they will be able to solve the problem. And critical thinking is more important than just mugging up and of the, certain topic, or the syllabus and all that. You said the covering of the syllabus, but I said don't cover the syllabus. Please uncover the syllabus. That is more important. So now the experiential learning is very important, because what they are doing, they learn from that. Not only hands on is not enough. It is the thinking part. It is cognitive. If they are doing something on their own, then they are doing the thinking, maybe the critical thinking. And the creative thinking is very important. If somebody is going to be a technocrat or an engineer, or maybe Shakespeare. So he was doing lots of creative thinking that time, and even designing big, big structures, architectures. What you need is only creative thinking and thinking beyond, out of the box thinking.
Out of the box.
Yes. So lots of things have changed now. So the blended learning, we should come back to our topic. It is, of course, the face-to-face learning. Not only face-to-face learning. What is face-to-face learning? You don't have to teach them in the class. The flipped classroom learning. Just now, I was showing my teachers that to teach about the cow, what the cow is eating, people are taking them to the barns, and in the barn they come to know that how the cow is milked manually, and how the cow is milked with a machine. I've taken my students when I was teaching in not teaching, I was a principal in rural area in Maharashtra. So I've shown them everything, and I told them how to do the vermiculture there, and even they were milking the cows because they were farmers children. So we have to teach them on. This is also blended. I mean, it is not just in the class, as Madam said, talk and talk. No, that is not enough. And then simulations.
Simulations.
I want to teach them an integrate topic like a bicycle. So bicycle is not only physics. That means how much friction is there, and the brakes are there. It has got engineering also, that how you pedal, and then the aerodynamics is there when somebody is riding it, and the chemistry is there, metallurgy, whole metallurgy, because it is made up of metal, at different parts are made up of different you know metals combinations. So that is why integrated has to be there. So we cannot say, and even the wheels are there. So if we talk of wheels, then we'll say that long back it was discovered by the mankind. Then we will say that again the friction comes, and how much movement it will do, and then how much velocity, and so everything is like that. And we should take our children for excursion also. And this is not just limited to the school education. It goes beyond that, because I have talked to professors in the IITs, NITs. So they are saying that now the IQs are not enough, and the companies, they are asking for EQs also. They want that the students which they have selected should not be stressed in a stressful situation. They have got the emotional, balance in such situations. So now already the integration has taken place. The classrooms are not the only place, but even only the teacher will take them to different places. And the art rooms are there, the sports grounds are there, lots of dancing is there, lots of music is there, lots of videos are there, because through that they can even you know tell the students in a physics classroom that how the guitar, when you play a guitar, then what is the sound of this sitar, what is the sound of sitar, what are the sounds of the drums. So even only the videos will tell them, and which frequency, and how the different instruments are made. So everything in sound will be taught through the videos to the students, and through this learning. So that is why it has taken a shift, and we have to tell our teachers to introduce lots of arts and lots of steam. I tell them it is not the steaming of the pressure cooker, it is steaming of the steaming is very important. Life skills, ethics and integrity, experiential learning. I don't know, there is one, uh, you know, incident that a child was asked in the class in third standard that what does a bird eat? One of the child answered that the bird eats the cow. Others, they have answered very well, that grains and fruits and chilies and all that. Then the teacher called him, and she asked that why do you say that? I have never taught you. It is not written in the textbook. He said, but from my window, I find a carcass of a cow is lying there, and all the big birds and small birds, they are eating the cow. So I have answered you. So that is called experiential learning. Let them learn from their experience. So now, whatever you are saying, digitalization blended with the classroom teaching, I think it is not enough. And then the training of the teachers. And we are doing the training of the teachers, and even Notebook is doing so many trainings. This is how they are doing, and they are giving us opportunities to interact with people and do our duty. So thank you to Notebook and all of you that you are discussing all this, whatever
Thank
you
you so
share.
much. This has absolutely been our privilege playing host to such wonderful thoughts. But I can see that Mr. Agarwal is extremely happy with the way things have shaped up. Because when I was a student, the languages were, let's say, a rung lower than the maths and science obsession that people had. Today, thanks to the importance of communication, because the moment the teacher has to communicate or the student has to communicate their feelings, their thoughts in a original form and not take help of a textbook, language is going to be the most important skill. Communication is just front and center, I think. Agrawal sir, if I may come to you next, my next question is about the unrepresented stakeholder here, the parents. The parents have themselves being students, they have been used to a certain format. As Padmini ma'am was talking about the assessments, a parent needs to see a certain score on a mark sheet to feel good about the child's education. What we are talking about now with integrated learning is perhaps going to take that away. How do you see the parents reacting to integrated learning?
See, Subhaji, you would find it a little, I mean, um, see, what do we see today in movies? We get, the society gets what society wants. The movie stars, actors, directors, they are not responsible for what they are serving us today. We are making those movies hit as a common public. So they are serving us the same thing. Somewhere or the other, it is, parents who are giving value to percentage. Now, when you talk about admissions in colleges, because they are also giving admission on the basis of percentage only, that's their take. What kind of college they want to make it? What is their requirement? But as a student, I know, as a parent, I know that what is the requirement of my child. Should he go to a college where there is a high percentage of entrance, higher percentage is required, or should he go for those like ma'am was talking, Rashmi ma'am was talking about workshops on life skills? So let me quote one example here. In the year 2008, sometimes I do write things. So I was working on one article. It all of a sudden came in my mind that there can be something like we so most often it is quoted that how Pythagoras theorem is going to help us in life. I hope Rashmi ma'am won't take me otherwise. It's not something like I'm
Yeah.
contradicting you. It's my opinion. There is one more theorem in mathematics. I've never been a maths teacher, but yeah, of course, as a student, I was doing well and always had distinction marks in mathematics. There is a theorem called Thales theorem, basic proportionality theorem, in which what happens that the triangle, if we take one point from one side of it, which goes, and then we start drawing a line which goes parallel to the bottom line, then it will cut the line in front of it in the equal proportion, same proportion. That is basic proportionality theorem. Okay. Now, how it applies to life. If we consider that bottom line, the baseline, as the standard, the parameters of success in terms of anything that we want to achieve, and the line from where the point starts and we start drawing that line is our life. And the third line which it going to cut is the line of success in that desired field. If it goes parallel to those parameters of the baseline, it will cut in equal proportion.
Very good, sir. Very good example.
Right? So
Mathematics integrated with the values and the
yes,
reality of life. I want to
exactly.
compliment you for that.
Thank you so much, man. So life is like this only. Where the learning is going to come, we never know. And the children are individuals. So as a whole, of course, we are teaching the whole class. But when we are talking about that individual who, see, thousands of teachers have been teaching this basic proportionality theorem. And one non-mathematics teacher, a language teacher rather, was observing something else from that. Okay. And then I discussed it with in classes also. Rather, one day I suggested one of my mathematics teacher also to write something on that. Then, of course. So this is again integrated thing. Some, language is getting integrated with, as ma'am was quoting that, yes, let's have some Shakespeare's out of it. This will happen. Let us start thinking in those terms that yes, there is a perfect thought behind it. Now, when we talk about, say, what parent can think, see, as I gave you the example of movies. In movies, we get what we deserve because that is we have made them famous like that. A movie hits because the society has watched it in bigger proportion. So similarly, the parents someday or the other will have to understand. Otherwise, sir, people have opened schools in their houses. Secondary school, senior secondary school, just 300-meter house, building after building, one floor, second floor, third floor. रटा रहे हैं बच्चों को, please don't mind my Hindi.
That is rote learning, sir.
परसेंटेज आ रही है, merit में आ रहे हैं उनके बच्चे, their children are getting positions in merit list.
Is not up to the mark.
Yes, but they are not actually learning. Tomorrow you ask them to speak any debate, they won't be able to speak even a single sentence. You ask them to do any form, or just write a small note on your success, that how you could get in merit, he won't be able to write. The only thing is because whatever he mugged up, uski rati hui application aa gayi, usne likh di. And then the honor.
सर अभी कोई नहीं मांग रहा है, जो बड़ी बड़ी यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं, तो सर उनको ये वो कहते हैं देख लिया हमने, बहुत अच्छा है, इसके बाद आप बताइए क्या जानते हैं, आपके बाद.
Absolutely right. So there, this percentage thing has to stop. And one day or someday, the parents, they will 100% understand it. And by using your platform, I would rather make an appeal to them that, yes, please don't get involved and don't think that in terms of percentage only your child is going to improve. Your child can be any way creative. Okay, I won't say that I was one of the brightest students, but yeah, some brightness I had in my career. So using that brightness, I was, to some extent, I would say, to 8th, 10th, I remained always the topper in the class. And then, but in my class, I know my classmates, they are doing far better than me. Of course, I am also doing comparatively well. I don't say that, but they are all equally doing well, and they used to be called backbenchers. APJ Abdul Kalam has said, talent comes from the backbenches only. How it came, how it happened. There was somebody who was observing something else from that theorem.
Right.
There was somebody who was observing something different, that I would be able to apply it. So I never been a maths teacher, but yes, that day I could understand, when I could understand BPT, basic proportionality theorem, that Mr. Agarwal, if you really want to go in life, set parameters and keep going parallel to them, you will be cutting in equal proportion. So this is what actually I want, rather not a message. I'm nobody to give any message to any parent, but I would always suggest that please don't get involved in this percentage game. This is nothing. I remember my child who is now in 11th class, but earlier, whenever he was in primary classes, whenever my wife used to teach him, regularly she was teaching, he could get good marks. Someday, because of any health reason, she was not able to teach him, he could not get marks. So where is the intelligence? So it was like, for parents, that's my, in a very simple words, I have not used any way, some kind of an academician's thing. But this is my take on it.
Thank you so much, sir. It is not often that we give a practical demonstration of the topic. Today, I think we've done that. We've given a practical demonstration of how integrated learning works.
Thank
Two
you.
things are there. One thing, Shubhendu, you said it is about training the teachers. Then I will say just now, Mr. Agrawal said counseling the parents. So I think that is equally important.
Yes,
Because,
ma'am.
Convincing the parents is another big challenge for the principal and the teacher also. But
Right.
we can do
Actually,
it. Yeah.
the problem is that, ma'am, we of course thinking out of the box, it will work. But inside the box, who is going to see? What is that inside?
That's right.
Inside
Yes.
the box
And
is
the
very,
parents are,
yeah.
so parents should be
Recently,
counseled.
I finished one book in which he has stressed more on inside the box rather than out thinking out of the box. Let's go back, think. Yeah, of course, as everybody is, I was also behind my son's life, let's do IIT or IIT Karna, and now you are in 11th, and he did for a few months, then he flipped. I'll do commerce. And now what I'm seeing that this boy changed from science to commerce in the month of November, and he's excelling those commerce students who were studying commerce right from April. So
Sir, it is STEAM
let
now. It is
So
let
STEAM.
them think
Commerce
inside.
and science are merging
no,
together.
we
They're
actually
merging
should,
together.
yeah,
Yes.
it's
Yeah,
merging
if I
together. Yeah.
I also studied NEP and um, to give some kind of an exposure to my teachers in the school. From each chapter, I have framed 10 questions on the basis of whatever the intelligence I could use. So 10 forms in Google form I have shared with them. And when they read these questions, it's not needed to go back into the NEP 2020 and read the whole NEP again. The questions have been framed in such a way that you are reading NEP only. Like which of the statement doesn't suit this particular thing? They will have to read these 3 points.
Right.
So the whole NEP, right from chapter 1 to chapter 27, 270 questions I framed chapter wise and shared them with them. And it was done. Like all the teachers now they know NEP to some extent, and if they want to revise, go
How
for.
about parents, sir? Parents should also. You are from which city, sir?
I'm from Ajmer. Basically, I'm from
Rajasthan.
Jaipur, but at present Ajmer, Rajasthan. You must have heard of Ajmer, ma'am.
सर
Yeah, yeah.
हमारा तो सीओई है वहां पर my brother is in MNIT.
Okay, okay.
The
Ajmer,
professor
Jaipur,
I think
MMI.
Jaipur
Jaipur. Malviya regional area.
Marg MNIT.
Yes, yes. I was born and brought up in Jaipur only.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place, pink city,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
lots of educational institutions.
Yeah,
बहुत अच्छी जगह है.
जी, जी. So for parents, yeah, they will have to make it a point, because though I'm not that very sure about it, but whatever my experience is, I would say um, those who got good percentage in their career, in their academic life, are not doing so well in comparison to those who were okay. They were managing the show 70, 80, 90. So somebody who got 95% and a child who got 80, 85, 90, is he anyway less than them? Not at all. There may be some, in those 3 hours, you have to recall everything and you have to write it down. So mugged up and vomited out.
No,
How
no,
does it make sense? How does it make
sir,
Yeah, that
outcome-based
bookish,
education.
bookish knowledge. Sometimes,
sense?
as you said, that students are there who score, say, 95 and 100, but when it comes to communication or facing problems in life or even an interview, they don't do well at all. But comparatively, some students who get 50 and 60 who are a good sportsman or a music interested person or a talkative person in the class and interested in lab activity and exploration and all, they come up very well in life, because
Yes.
what is needed is to face your life,
Life
knowledge,
management.
attitude,
Life
and skill.
management is important.
Yeah, all the three are important: attitude and skill, and last comes knowledge. According to me, I would say ask principle, which is A for attitude is the most important. Then automatically, if your attitude is very good, the skill steps in. When you start working on it, knowledge automatically comes. You don't have to worry about knowledge at all because it steps in automatically. So we will have to train them on a competency-based training. That is what, as ma'am said, I'm also in the COE portal in the Chennai, continuously doing the workshops for the teachers. And as I was talking to Subhai also that the other day, I'm doing this constitutional values. So when I addressed, many thought that it is only pertaining to social science teachers. I said it is a value related to constitution, means we are not going to mug up the preamble or something. How are you going to bring that patriotic feeling among the students through subjects? Whether it is physics or chemistry or mathematics or economics, any concept related to a value. So that is important. That is how we try to train the teachers to see that every concept is being taken with integration of art or sports or ICT or music, and make it lively so that learning happens, and it happens in a very enjoyable way that they are able to live their life later. So learning for life is most important.
Yes, life management is
Yes,
the life
learning for
skill.
life.
That's
Yeah.
why we are teaching them. And that is the most important. Why
Yes.
only your job, your own family life, the adjustments in life,
Yes.
and the problem solving at your professional front, the team, and all these skills. I think they are more important. As I was telling my brother, Dr. Ashok Sharma, he's in the metallurgy department, he's a professor there. So, this is what he has told me, that outcome based education has become important, and they are teaching their student all these life skills like communication skills. Shubhendu, you said so, communication skills are very, very important,
Yes.
and
Yes.
the problem
Reading.
solving.
Yeah, the basic skills of reading and speaking and listening first.
Right, listening is
Yeah,
important.
listening. Yeah.
Yeah, so in the interviews, the people are not only seeing this how much percentage, they are asking for this thing, that you give us about this particular student, what he has done, how many programs he has done, and all
Yes.
these things. So it has become important in MNITs also. That's how I came to know.
Well, we
Yeah.
are having this absolutely wonderful discussion. The problem is we are a little out of time.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have
That's
to
true.
bring this to a close, but thank you so much for sparing time. I know Rashmi ma'am came directly from another training, so thank you so much, ma'am, for making this.
Thank you.
Again, thanks to
Great.
all
Thank you.
for making the
Thank you.
time. Everybody in the audience is so tremendously enriched by this discussion. I will now hand this back to Achin for the vote of thanks. Achin, you will have quite a bit to thank for. Over to you.
Yeah, I guess wonderful session and very lively and seamless discussion. That's the spirit, that's the beauty, and that is something that we at Notebook really look forward to. I always tell whenever we have an opportunity to interact with media and we discuss about our webinar, because Together for Education webinar, with all of your support, with a lot of inputs and guidance from all of you, has really scaled new heights. This is in fact become the largest forum of educators in India exchanging their views. And I always tell everyone that the focus, as far as the way we look at it, is always outside in. We always look forward to hear from you, because that is the entire purpose. So much of wealth of knowledge, experience, real life case studies, and that really enriches each and every member of the audience. So I guess it's really wonderful to connect and to share views, and that's the beauty. Bharat sir, thank you so much for giving us a great start as always and sharing your views, and also for your the way you deliberated very I'll say very honest and frank approach in terms of acknowledging the challenges and pre-pandemic situation, how it was with regard to digital adoption. Yes, all of us do agree. Wonderful start, sir. Rashmi ma'am, some very interesting points you made, ma'am, which I'm sure are takeaways. And I completely agree with you on that. When you said that, the entire purpose of education is far beyond grades and marks, but more about life management. That's the term that you use. And that really stays with us in terms of problem solving, team building, adjusting within a team, how you're managing your personal life, which I think is equally important, if not more.
Sir, excuse me, when you are saying personal life, then I will say, I'm sorry that I interrupted you, that I always say in my life skill trainings that we never train our girls, we never discuss with them that how they are going to adjust after marriage in the new home. So don't you think that we should teach them, and even the
Right.
boys, that the relationship between a girl and a wife and husband, in terms
Right.
of adjustments,
Very true,
so
ma'am.
that
Very true.
our society will be enriched, there will be no divorce and all that.
Right.
Okay, that's
Very,
what.
no, very, very true, ma'am. In fact, we completely agree. And, this kind of forward-looking approach, the fact that, because I always believe that the first step towards solving any problem is an honest acknowledgement of its existence. The fact that we understand, okay, this is a challenge, like as you rightly said, divorce and so many disputes happening. We acknowledge it, and irrespective of gender. So, why only girls? I guess for boys as well. So, being able to counsel them, being able to ensure that we take them into confidence, discuss topics, I think that's wonderful. Those are very good points, ma'am, you made. And you also stressed on the fact about taking parents on board, taking parents into confidence, counseling them. Because I always believe that getting all stakeholders on board, parents and esteemed educators, in the entire education machinery can function smoothly only when vision alignment happens between parents and teachers. I guess that's very, very important. And I'm sure as esteemed educators, as all of you completely agree with me on that. Jugal sir, again, thank you so much for your time and some very good points you made, sir, which really stays with us. And first of all, very beautifully explained. The way you brought in mathematics to explain life concepts is something that I'll never forget. It really stays with us. Wonderful, sir. Great. I think all of us really benefited from your wealth of experience. I really like the fact how you shared with us with regard to NEP 2020, the fact that you have framed 10 questions in Google Doc, and the fact that you are trying to ensure that all your esteemed educators, all teachers, all your colleagues, all your team members are completely on board. That's wonderful. That's the entire purpose. In fact, you must have seen at Together for Education webinar, in our own little humble way, we have been continuously trying to discuss topics in and around NEP, and taking all of your views on board, so that it brings, because only when we discuss something, only then conceptual clarity comes in. One is reading in isolation, second is exchanging of views. That's the entire beauty of a discussion.
Well,
So
here I
think,
would like to a small interruption there.
Yes, sir.
From your regular things, your routine, and finding time as a principal and framing questions, it's very difficult. I used to sit at 10 o'clock in the night and it will go on till 2 o'clock. 3 to 4 hours one Google form was taking. And it was a rigorous practice for 18 days because I divided all 27 chapters in 18 days, day 1, day 2, day 3.
Right, sir.
Similarly. And
Right.
then, of course, it was a fruitful thing. I shared those forms with RO, Regional Officer Ajmer as well.
Right, sir.
She was very appreciative that way.
Right.
And a few principals as well. They also implemented same questions to train their staff, know NEP better.
So I guess really all credit to you. Hats off to you. I think and if this is the kind of interest we see from heads of schools, from heads of academic institutions, that is the only way in which we can actually implement a policy, not only in letter but also in spirit, which I guess is the need of the hour, right? One is having a document. Okay, fine. We have a document. We discuss about it, and then we go ahead and do things as usual. Second is ensuring that document is actually brought to life. the entire spirit comes in our day-to-day work. And that's wonderful. I must compliment you. And another very important and interesting point you made, which we have been discussing in our webinars, that life is definitely far beyond marks. The fact that, so many of you, the way you discussed about your friends who have done well in life, that really, I'm sure, when even when parents look at it, is something that we all need to understand, that each child is unique, uniquely gifted. Might be the area of talent might be different, but I'm sure God is kind to all. So hence, as parents, as teachers, identifying and nurturing an individual child with regard to his or her area of talent, I guess
Multiple
that is what
intelligence.
multiple intelligence. Right, ma'am. Right. I completely agree. Padmini, ma'am, again, some very wonderful points you made. I guess today's session is one of our best sessions that we had. Really great interaction we had. I think one thing that really stays with me, the fact that you said that, the fact that children who are engaged in activities like music, sports, active in terms of achieving their views on class, the so-called the most talkative ones, active in lab, visible. The fact that, and I think you summed it up very well when you coined this term as attitude, skill, and knowledge. I think that really defines it. Attitude comes in first, skill comes in, knowledge, of course, knowledge is needed. Domain knowledge, no doubt about it. Any profession you go to, knowledge is important. But in today's age, it's not only about knowledge, not only about providing information, which anyways is available in abundance. So today we deal with overflow of knowledge. It's about curating information, it's about customizing it, it's about delivering what we actually need. Much more than that, attitude, the first thing that you said, really very wonderfully and beautifully put, ma'am. So I think we really had a great session. I really thank all of you for your time. I thank all members of the esteemed audience for their time as well. I have been seeing some great questions as well. And we really look forward to such more interactive and live sessions in future. I thank all of you. Thank you. Take care and good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
sir.
so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure. Thank you.
इससे होता है ना।